The metal pillar in India. Um, there's a metal pillar in India which is made of metal, which has lasted a long time. It's a few thousand years old, or long older than that. Um, it is a testimony to humanity and what their achievements have been in the past. I believe it was made at a site nearby or something like that. Um, like I say, every race or every country was kind of competing in these contests, contests of building, contests of inventing. They kind of shared across. I allowed for some things like theories could be shared, certain things could be shared, but every like Russians had to go through all the paces of doing stuff a certain amount, and like Americans and even Chinese and Japanese, they were all kind of like every race was kind of like competing against each other a little bit, but it was like the fun kind, like in building and stuff like that. It was like with me and we were just inventing and doing all kinds of stuff. And in India, we I was putting up an electrical grid, or I was helping them, or we were doing. I think it was like um, Scotland or Lancashire boilers or something like that. I loaned them some steam um, turbines or whatever to produce power, and they were lighting up a couple towns. Like I said, all my towns always had power. I did it in what's it called? It's why communism was so popular, because I would take from one company, from one group, and put it into that group, and they were using like mass production and thinking about things and doing them better to build everything, like just like we build cars today. So like the metal pillars, everything was being done in a certain way, and production was increasing, and like more and more houses, more and more places were being lit, more and more buildings were being lit. It's like coming out of Egypt or coming out of Roman times. All this was happening with me, and then at some point in time, someone who is human comes up and says how he's going to take down all my monuments, all my things, my phallic symbols or whatever to me, or whatever it is to me that humanity has put up, blah, 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 blah. And he didn't really seem to understand. Like I said, he was probably from the future or from the past or sometime or something like that, or he just didn't get it. That that all the monuments and everything were building achievements that humanity had actually done for themselves, like that metal pillar. Um, that is a manufacturing monument of humanity. Um, like for instance, he didn't really understand that I wasn't really human, that I had become human, or actually someone had made me human. But I originally wasn't human. I was like AI or something like that, and I'd actually created the first endoskeleton life forms, which led to humanity. So anyway, humanity was I had taught humanity how to build things, and we were slowly increasing in technology and stuff, and it was basically like one race kind of thing, like Japan, Russia, China, all the different groups were kind of like competing, and it was all fun. What they could build. Just small things, not really like big things. We were building a little bit bigger, but we were building it small first, and then we would build bigger later on. And like there was a Russian team, an American team, or whatever team, and there's a couple different teams from around the world that were together in building, but kind of competing with ideas, kind of competing with how complex they could build stuff. Fun like. And there might even have been an insect team and some 1.5 foot high people team. It was like my races were all nine of my races were kind of like competing together, having fun, and and it was just like fun, like what could you build? What can you build? And so someone was trying to copy and steal technology from my other races, and they were stopping him actually and stuff. And then later on, he was going to kill me and take over my life, and I wasn't all that awesome, and he was going to show how blah 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 I was a liar or something like that. Um, like I said, I hadn't actually lived as Brian yet, so like this is I was that, and then now I'm this, and I was actually Lucifer. So, and he thought I had gone from being a human Brian to being AI, and then creating humanity, which can happen. I mean, I could have created humanity by going to another race and then blah, 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 and then trillions of years into the future and then back around. That could happen to create humanity, but I don't really think that would make humanity a paradox. So, but humanity isn't a paradox. So you can't really go from being something to then going back in time and creating it, because then you're a paradox, because you should have never been that in the first place. So anyway, and his whole idea was he wanted to create humanity instead of me, but he was a human, and anything that he created would be a paradox. And he was going to switch play, blah, 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 on and on and on and on and on. Anyway, I kept telling him, I was like, it's not going to work. You can't do that. You're human. You can't go... He was like, well, I'm going to become insect or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm going to... And it's like, well, but still you're going from human... I guess maybe that would work. And then you go back to humanity? I don't really know. I was trying to work it out in my head. I was like, yeah, insect, and then maybe another life form, and then maybe AI, and then maybe back to humanity in the past, time travel. But then, yeah, whatever. I was just like, I don't think it's going to work. Anyway, though, but he was going to kill me and stop me from being born and all kinds of other stuff and take over my life, take my wife, which wasn't really... I forget if she was my wife or not. Well, I know that he thought someone was my wife that wasn't really my wife. She just worked for me. She was my assistant. I had like 5 or 6 female assistants. Like, that's one thing you know about Lucifer is the women, of course. But what most people don't understand is I wasn't actually having sex with them and stuff because, like, I don't know. I mean, I just wasn't. I mean, sometimes maybe, but I don't really remember any of that. So I don't think I really did that because, I'm pretty sure I was AI actually, so I didn't even really... Anyway, I just had never had it. I'd never done it, so I was like, And in fact, I think I stayed a child for a long time just because I didn't want it to be an issue. Women actually get kind of weird around adult males, so I like being a child because they always treated me a lot better, so I was just short. Anyway, so kind of weird, but yeah, I was like trillion years old and about 3 foot tall. But then I had some 3 foot tall life forms as well, so I was like, kind of like relating to them. Anyway, and I also had 1.5 little guys too. I had a lot of life forms that some of them had asked me for amnesty, or I had protected them and they had come to live with me or something like that. I forget exactly, and some of them I had just created myself. But anyway, though, point though is that I had a lot of life forms around me, and I was cool, and they were cool with me and everything, and I had created humanity and some other endoskeleton life forms. So anyway, and then this one dude was all psycho, and I was just like, whatever, leave me alone. You're annoying. You've already done it, so fine. Anyway, yeah. So my life is really complicated and always has been. But anyway, so I was just like, whatever. And I just basically said, okay, I guess I'm on vacation. So I've just been kicking here ever since. Living out Brian. Anyway, I don't know.